Listen carefully, my dear friends. Life, in its essence, is fleeting. Every single moment that we experience, whether it brings joy, sorrow, pain, or pleasure, is temporary. And yet, we cling to these moments as if they were eternal. We allow ourselves to become entangled in the web of our own minds, where worry and stress grow like thorns, pricking us at every opportunity. But I tell you today, from my heart to yours, do not stress. Everything is temporary. Do not anchor your soul in a storm that will pass. Do not weigh your spirit down with burdens that are not meant to last. Observe the waves in the ocean. They rise and fall, yet the ocean itself remains. Life's challenges are much like those waves. They surge and recede. Understanding this is the first step toward true peace. When you face hardship, remember this. The storm is temporary. You may feel overwhelmed, lost, or even defeated at times, but these feelings are not permanent. Emotions are like clouds passing through the sky of your consciousness. They come and go, appearing dark and heavy one moment, dissolving into nothingness the next. Do not confuse the presence of clouds with the nature of the sky. Your mind, your spirit, your inner being, these are vast, unchanging, and capable of witnessing the clouds without being consumed by them. The moment you realize that stress, worry, and pain are transient, you step into a dimension of life where your power cannot be taken by circumstance. You may ask, but Master, how do I remind myself of this truth when my mind is racing, when my life feels like it is falling apart? My answer is simple: presence. Presence is the anchor of your soul. When the mind wanders into fear and despair, return it to the now. Focus on your breathing, on the sensation of your body, on the rhythm of life that is unfolding this very instant. In this presence, you will see that nothing lasts forever. The anxiety about the past, the fear of the future, they are illusions. Only the present moment is real. And in this reality, you have the ability to respond, to choose, to heal. Remember the lesson of impermanence that nature teaches us every day. The seasons change, rivers flow, flowers bloom and wither. No flower remains in its peak for eternity. No season lingers forever. Just as winter surrenders to spring, and spring gives way to summer, so too does every trial in your life have a beginning and an end. You may feel trapped in a winter of despair, but it is merely one phase. Trust that the warmth of spring is approaching, even if you cannot see it yet. Life's transience is not a reason for fear, but for liberation. Once you internalize this truth, stress loses its grip. You no longer fight against what is unfolding because you understand that it is temporary. You allow life to move, to flow, and you move with it, like a leaf carried gently on the stream. Do not burden your heart with things you cannot control. There is a universal law older than humanity itself. Everything changes, wealth comes and goes, relationships form and dissolve, opportunities appear and disappear. If you tie your happiness to these impermanent things, you invite suffering. Instead, cultivate a mind that rests in its own foundation. Develop inner strength, awareness, and compassion. When your heart is rooted in wisdom and presence, no external circumstance can disturb it for long. Stress is only a symptom of attachment to permanence in a world that does not offer it. Free yourself from this attachment, and you are free from stress. Even in moments of great suffering, hold this thought: this too shall pass. Pain, like joy, is temporary. It is not permanent, no matter how much it feels. So in the present, the human mind has a tendency to exaggerate, to dramatize. A small difficulty can feel like a catastrophe when you are caught in it. But step back, breathe, and observe it for what it truly is: a moment, fleeting, ephemeral, destined to fade. In doing so, you reclaim your power. You shift from being a passive victim of circumstance to an active participant in life, choosing how to respond rather than being consumed by reaction. Do not underestimate the strength within you. Life has a way of testing us, presenting challenges that feel insurmountable. Yet every obstacle carries a hidden gift, the opportunity to grow, to deepen understanding, to cultivate patience. Stress arises when we resist life's natural flow, when we cling to what cannot be held. Release that resistance. Trust in the temporary nature of all things, And let the challenges teach you rather than break you. Like a blacksmith tempers steel with fire, so too does life shape your soul through trials. The fire may be intense, but it does not last forever. The sword that emerges is strong, sharp, and resilient. When you feel anxiety creeping in, remind yourself, you have survived every difficult moment before this. You have navigated challenges that once seemed impossible. You have emerged stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Stress is merely the mind's reaction to perceived threat. But the reality is that life continues, regardless of your worry. You do not need to fight what will pass on its own. Instead, meet it with calm awareness. Treat your mind as a garden. Do not let weeds of stress overtake the flowers of peace. Nurture thoughts that uplift, that remind you of impermanence, and that guide you to serenity. Even the greatest masters, those who appear unshakable, face difficulties. They encounter loss, disappointment, and hardship. But they understand the truth. Nothing lasts forever. They do not cling to circumstances. They do not define themselves by fleeting events. They cultivate a mind that observes without attachment, that witnesses without judgment, that responds without panic. This is the path to freedom, to inner peace, and to joy that does not depend on external conditions. You too can walk this path. It begins with the recognition that everything is temporary. Do not underestimate the power of letting go. Let go of grudges. Let go of expectations. Let go of the illusion that life should conform to your desires. Each time you release attachment, you release suffering. Each time you allow life to flow, you allow joy to enter. Do not stress about the uncontrollable, the inevitable, or the unknown. Instead, focus on what is within your power, your awareness, your choices, your heart. In these moments, you are free. Freedom is not found in controlling life, but in surrendering to its natural rhythm, understanding its impermanent nature, and meeting each moment with courage and compassion. As you leave here today, carry this truth with you. Everything is temporary. Your worries will fade. Your challenges will pass. Your joy will evolve. The impermanence of life is not a reason for despair, but a reason for liberation. Embrace each moment fully, without clinging, without fear. Stress has no power over a mind that knows impermanence, a heart that rests in awareness, and a spirit that moves in harmony with life. Remember this. The storm will pass, the waves will subside, and the sky will clear. You are stronger than any temporary difficulty. You are more enduring than any fleeting emotion. So, my dear friends, when you feel the weight of the world pressing down, pause, breathe, and remind yourself. Do not stress. Everything is temporary. Life is unfolding as it should. You are here, you are aware, and you have the power to meet every challenge with grace, patience, and love. Let go of fear. Let go of resistance. Step into the present and allow peace to enter. Life is a river, ever moving, ever changing, and you are a part of it. Flow with it. Do not fight it. Do not stress. Everything is temporary, and your spirit is eternal. My dear friends, listen carefully, for the wisdom I share with you today has the power to transform your life if you allow it. Life is a journey of constant change, a river that never ceases to flow. Moments of pain, joy, loss, and gain, each of these is impermanent. Yet, how often do we allow ourselves to be consumed by fear, worry, or stress? We magnify problems in our minds, inflate small difficulties into mountains, and in doing so, we trap ourselves in suffering that does not need to exist. But I tell you now, do not stress. Everything is temporary. Let these words resonate within your heart. Let them sink deep into the very core of your being. Understand this fundamental truth. The nature of life is impermanence. Nothing remains the same. The seasons change. The sun rises and sets, rivers flow, and the wind moves unceasingly. Just as nature does not cling to the past, so too should we learn to move with life rather than resist it. When you experience a challenge, a loss, or even a fear, remind yourself that this too will pass. It is only a temporary phase, a fleeting moment that will soon dissolve. Stress arises when we forget this truth, when we cling to what cannot last. Letting go is not weakness. It is the highest form of wisdom. Many of us believe that if we worry, if we anticipate every problem, we will somehow gain control. But in truth, stress is the mind's attempt to control the uncontrollable. Life is not meant to be controlled. Life is meant to be experienced, observed, and flowed with. When you fight against change, you create tension within yourself. When you resist the natural rhythm of existence, you invite suffering. But when you accept impermanence, when you understand that every situation is temporary, you free yourself. You become like a tree in the wind, flexible, rooted, and unshakable in spirit, even as the branches bend and sway. I know, my friends, that life is not always gentle. Sometimes the waves are high, the storms relentless, and the nights dark. And yet, even in the most difficult moments, remember this: you have survived every challenge you have faced up to this point. You have risen every time you fell. You have endured every season of pain and despair. Stress is only temporary because it is born of thought, of attachment, of fear. By observing it without judgment, by realizing its fleeting nature, you dissolve its power. When you feel overwhelmed, turn your attention inward, close your eyes and breathe deeply. Sense the life force within you, the energy that has carried you this far. Recognize that the body, the mind, and the spirit are all capable of restoration. Stress may cloud your thoughts, but it cannot touch your essence. Your true self is untouched by the impermanence of events, unshaken by the rise and fall of fortune. This understanding is the key to inner peace. Do not anchor your happiness to circumstances. Wealth can vanish, relationships can falter, success can fade. If your peace depends on these impermanent things, then peace itself will also be impermanent. Instead, cultivate the garden of your own heart. Nourish it with mindfulness, with compassion, with understanding. Stress cannot exist in a heart that is awake, that is aware, that is aligned with the truth of impermanence. When you cultivate this inner garden, you discover that peace is not something external, it is your natural state. Stress is simply the absence of presence, the forgetting of truth. Consider the lessons that nature provides every day. A river does not hold on to the water that passes through it. A tree does not resist the shedding of its leaves. A flower blooms and fades, knowing that it cannot last forever. In the same way, we must learn to flow with life, rather than resist it. When challenges arise, approach them as lessons, not punishments. When difficulties appear, meet them with curiosity and awareness, not fear and stress. Every hardship carries wisdom within it, if only we are willing to see. Even our emotions, powerful though they may feel, are temporary. Sadness, anger, fear, and anxiety all pass. You may feel as though the weight of the world is upon you, but even this weight is not permanent. Observe it as a passing cloud, a wave on the ocean, a flame that flickers and fades. The moment you recognize the impermanence of emotion, you create space for freedom. Stress cannot live in this space. It dissolves like mist in the morning sun. One of the most important practices I encourage is detachment, not in the sense of apathy, but in the sense of freedom. Detach from outcomes, detach from expectations, detach from the illusion that life should be certain or permanent. When you release attachment, you release suffering. When you release suffering, you open the door to clarity, courage, and compassion. Stress is a symptom of clinging, of resisting what is. Let go, and you will find that life becomes lighter, brighter, and more manageable. Remember, even the greatest teachers and masters experience hardship. They know fear, loss, and difficulty, yet their power lies in awareness, in presence, and in the understanding that nothing lasts forever. They walk through storms without being consumed, because they know that the storm is temporary, the pain is temporary, and the challenge is temporary. This knowledge does not remove difficulty, but it changes how we experience it. When you understand impermanence, stress loses its ability to dominate you. Do not underestimate the power of small daily practices, mindfulness, meditation, deep breathing, reflection. All of these are tools that remind you of impermanence. When you pause, even for a moment, and acknowledge that everything is temporary, you break the cycle of stress. You step out of the storm of your mind and into the calm of awareness. This calm is always available to you, even in the midst of chaos. You need only reach for it. Life is a teacher, constantly offering lessons in impermanence. Relationships will end, careers will shift, health will change, and possessions will pass. Stress arises when we resist these truths, when we try to hold on to what cannot be held. But when you embrace impermanence, you find freedom, you find resilience, you find a deep, abiding peace that is not shaken by the external world. Stress has no foothold in this state, so I urge you, my friends, do not allow stress to dominate your life. Remember, everything is temporary. Every challenge will pass. Every pain will fade. Every fear will dissolve. Do not waste your precious energy clinging to what cannot last. Instead, cultivate awareness, cultivate presence, and cultivate a heart that rests in the truth of impermanence. In doing so, you will find freedom, strength, and joy beyond measure. Let this understanding guide you in every aspect of your life. When you wake each morning, remind yourself that each day is fleeting, each moment precious. When difficulties arise, breathe, observe, and release. When joy appears, savor it fully, knowing it too is temporary, and allow it to deepen your gratitude. Life is a river of constant change. Stress is the resistance to that change. Flow with life and stress will dissolve. Do not forget, even in the darkest moments, that the human spirit is resilient. Your heart has survived storms before, and it will survive again. You have within you the power to face challenges with courage, to endure pain with grace, and to meet each moment with awareness. Stress cannot touch this inner strength. It is temporary, just as the difficulty itself is temporary. My dear friends, carry this truth with you always. Everything is temporary. Nothing lasts forever. Not your pain, not your fear, not your joy, not your success. Life moves in cycles, in seasons, in waves. Stress is a reaction to clinging to what is fleeting. Do not cling, do not resist. Do not stress. Meet life with awareness, with acceptance, and with the calm understanding that everything, every circumstance, every feeling, every challenge will pass. When you embrace this truth, you transform your life. You step out of suffering, you step into peace, you step into freedom. Your heart becomes lighter, your mind clearer, your spirit stronger, and in this space, life unfolds with beauty and grace, no longer dictated by worry or fear. So, my dear friends, I leave you with this final thought. Do not stress. Everything is temporary. Trust in the flow of life. Trust in your inner strength, and trust in the truth that impermanence brings liberation. Meet each moment fully. Breathe deeply, and know that peace is always within your reach. Everything is temporary, but your spirit, your awareness, and your presence are eternal. My dear friends, I ask you to open your hearts and listen deeply, for the wisdom I am about to share has the power to transform your relationship with life itself. Life is an ever-changing flow, and all that you encounter, every experience, every feeling, every circumstance is temporary. Yet so often we forget this truth. We grasp onto moments, trying to make them last forever. We cling to joy when it appears and resist pain when it comes. And in doing so, we create stress, anxiety, and suffering for ourselves. I say to you now, do not stress. Everything is temporary. Let this truth penetrate your consciousness like sunlight breaking through the clouds, and allow it to reshape your mind and your heart. Consider for a moment the nature of time and change. Nothing in life is permanent. Our bodies change, our minds change, our relationships change, and even the world around us changes constantly. The mountains erode, the rivers shift course, the seasons come and go. And yet, we behave as though we are living in permanence. We plan, we worry, we strive to control what cannot be controlled. We resist change because we fear it, and in that resistance, stress is born. To live in harmony with life, you must first accept impermanence. You must recognize that every difficulty, every challenge, every sorrow is a passing wave, a transient moment that will eventually dissolve. Stress arises from attachment. We attach ourselves to outcomes, to expectations, to possessions, and even to people. We cling to the illusion that life should unfold in a certain way. But life is not obligated to follow our desires. When we demand permanence in a world defined by impermanence, we suffer. Imagine holding water in your hands, trying to keep it from slipping through your fingers. No matter how tightly you grasp, it will escape. So it is with life. Release your grasp, allow life to flow, and in that surrender, you will discover freedom from stress. Even in times of deep suffering, remember this: pain does not last forever. The emotions you feel, no matter how intense, are temporary. Fear, anger, sadness, and worry are all clouds passing through the vast sky of your consciousness. They may obscure the light, but the light itself remains. Stress is the mind's misidentification with these passing clouds. When you observe them without attachment, when you allow them to exist without resisting, you find that they lose their power. They dissolve naturally, just as clouds dissipate under the warmth of the sun. Presence is the key to liberation from stress. When your mind is consumed with the past or worried about the future, you are not here. You are lost in illusions, trapped in thoughts that have no reality other than in your imagination. The present moment is all there is. Breath, awareness, sensation, and consciousness exist only now. By anchoring yourself in the present, you cut the roots of stress. You understand that the moment you are experiencing, no matter how difficult, is temporary, and it will pass. Reflect on the lessons that nature teaches us. A river flows continuously, never clinging to the water that passes through it. A tree sheds its leaves in autumn, knowing that new growth will return in spring. A flower blooms and fades, surrendering to the cycle of life. Everything in nature demonstrates impermanence. Yet nature does not stress, does not resist, does not cling. It simply exists in harmony with change. We too can learn to exist in this way. Stress only arises when we resist the natural flow of life. Let go of resistance, and peace will emerge naturally. Do not allow external circumstances to dictate your inner state. The world is full of uncertainty. Relationships change, careers shift, health fluctuates, and opportunities appear and disappear. If your happiness depends on these impermanent things, your peace will also be impermanent. True freedom comes from within, from a mind that rests in awareness, a heart that is anchored in understanding, and a spirit that recognizes the temporary nature of all things. Stress cannot endure in such a mind. Even the greatest masters have faced immense challenges, yet they remain unshaken. Their secret is not that life spared them difficulty, but that they understood impermanence. They realized that no storm lasts forever, no pain is permanent, and no success defines them. In understanding impermanence, they rise above fear and anxiety. They meet life as it comes, without clinging, without resisting, and without stress. You too can walk this path. Let go of your attachment to certainty. Life is unpredictable. Stress arises when we believe that things should be different than they are. Release this illusion. Embrace uncertainty as a natural part of existence. In doing so, you cultivate resilience and strength. You recognize that challenges are temporary, and that your capacity to endure and grow is far greater than any single circumstance. Every obstacle carries a lesson, every difficulty a hidden opportunity. Stress is only a refusal to learn from the lessons that life presents. Practice gratitude for the impermanence of life. Every moment is precious precisely because it does not last forever. Joy is sweeter, love is deeper, and beauty is more profound when we understand that all things are fleeting. Let this awareness cultivate mindfulness in your daily life. When you appreciate the ephemeral nature of experiences, you stop taking life for granted. Stress diminishes, replaced by a profound sense of presence and appreciation. Even your thoughts, powerful though they are temporary. Worrying thoughts may dominate your mind, creating tension and anxiety, but they are not permanent. Observe them as they arise, watch them as they pass, and do not identify with them. The mind is like a sky. Thoughts are clouds. Some are dark, some are light, but none can alter the vastness of the sky itself. Stress arises when we identify with passing clouds, forgetting that our true essence is untouched by them. Do not underestimate the power of small daily practices to reduce stress. Meditation, reflection, mindful breathing, and conscious observation are tools that remind us of impermanence. Even a few minutes a day can shift your perspective. When you pause and notice the transient nature of your thoughts, emotions, and circumstances, You create space for peace. You create space where stress cannot survive. In this space, you are free to respond to life with clarity, compassion, and wisdom. Remember, every challenge you face is temporary. Every fear, every anxiety, every moment of pain will pass. Do not resist it. Do not fight it. Do not let it control you. Instead, observe it, accept it, and move through it with awareness. Life unfolds in cycles, and every cycle has a beginning and an end. Stress arises when we cling to the beginning or fear the end. Learn to flow with the cycles, and you will discover freedom, even in moments of great uncertainty. Know this: you are stronger than your stress. You have survived every difficulty in your past, and you will endure every challenge in the future. Stress has no inherent power. It exists only in the mind that attaches to it. By recognizing its temporary nature, you dissolve its grip. The storms of life are not permanent, and neither is the stress that accompanies them. You are like a mountain, steadfast and unshakable, while the winds of circumstance blow past you. As you move through life, carry this truth in your heart. Do not stress. Everything is temporary. Let go of attachment, embrace impermanence, and cultivate presence. Meet each moment as it is, without clinging, without resistance, and without fear. Allow life to flow, and let stress dissolve naturally. Your peace, your joy, and your strength are always available to you. They are not dependent on circumstances, but on your understanding of life's impermanence. Finally, my friends, remember this: life is a river, constantly moving, ever-changing, and always temporary. Stress is only a reflection of our resistance to its flow. Release that resistance. Surrender to the rhythm of life, and you will discover the freedom that lies beyond worry and fear. Everything is temporary, but your awareness, your strength, and your presence are eternal. Carry this truth with you, live it fully, and do not stress. Life will continue. Storms will pass, and your spirit will endure, untouched by circumstance. My dear friends, listen to me carefully, for the wisdom I am about to share is not just words. It is a key to living a life of peace, strength, and freedom. Life is in constant motion, and every experience, every challenge, every feeling you encounter is temporary. Yet so often, we resist this truth. We grasp onto joy as if it will last forever. We fear pain as if it will consume us eternally, and we stress over things we cannot control. I tell you now from the depths of my heart, do not stress. Everything is temporary. Let these words sink deep into your being and allow them to transform how you perceive life, how you respond to adversity, and how you cultivate inner peace. The first step in releasing stress is understanding the nature of impermanence. Nothing in this world is fixed. Your body changes, your mind evolves, relationships shift, circumstances fluctuate, and the very world around you transforms moment by moment. Yet, we live as if life were permanent. We plan anxiously, we cling desperately, and we resist change, believing it to be a threat. But stress is born only from this resistance. When we understand that everything is temporary, we can meet life with a calm heart and a steady mind, no matter what unfolds. Life's challenges are temporary. Pain, disappointment, fear, and failure are not eternal. They may feel overwhelming in the present moment, yet they will pass like clouds moving across the sky or waves retreating from the shore. Stress is the mind's identification with these passing experiences. The moment you recognize that they are impermanent, you step into a dimension of life where stress loses its power. You begin to observe rather than react, to flow rather than resist, and to remain grounded even in the midst of turbulence. Presence is your anchor. When your mind wanders into worry about the future or regret about the past, you lose touch with reality. Stress thrives in this disconnection. But when you bring your attention fully into the present moment, when you observe your thoughts without attachment, when you breathe and simply exist in the now, you realize that every moment is temporary. Anxiety dissolves, tension fades, and a profound peace emerges. This is the power of living in awareness, of resting in the truth that life is fleeting and nothing lasts forever. Even the most intense emotions are temporary. Fear, sadness, anger, and frustration may surge within you, but they are like waves in an ocean. They rise, peak, and eventually recede. You are not your emotions. You are the awareness that observes them. When you stop identifying with these passing states, stress cannot dominate your mind. You create space for clarity, resilience, and strength. Observe your emotions as a witness. Allow them to pass, and know that they are only temporary visitors in the vastness of your consciousness. Attachment is the root of stress. When you cling to outcomes, to people, to possessions, or to circumstances, you invite suffering. Life is constantly changing, and clinging to permanence in an impermanent world is the source of all tension. Let go of attachment, embrace change, trust in the natural rhythm of life, and understand that every experience, pleasant or painful, is temporary. In this understanding lies freedom. In this freedom lies peace, and in this peace lies the strength to face life with courage and grace. Reflect on nature's lessons. A river does not cling to the water that flows through it. A tree does not resist shedding its leaves in autumn. Flowers bloom and fade. Seasons change, and yet life continues. Nature moves without stress, without resistance, without attachment. So too can we move through life. Stress only exists when we fight against reality, when we resist impermanence, when we fail to see the temporary nature of all things. Learn from nature, and you will learn to release stress. Do not allow external events to dictate your inner peace. Relationships will change, fortunes will rise and fall, health will fluctuate, and circumstances will shift unpredictably. If your happiness depends on these impermanent things, your peace will also be impermanent. True freedom comes from within. From a mind anchored in awareness, a heart aligned with wisdom, and a spirit that understands impermanence. Stress has no hold over such a mind. Even the greatest masters experience difficulties, yet they remain unshaken. Their strength is not in avoiding challenges, but in understanding that nothing lasts forever. They meet adversity with awareness, without attachment, without panic. They allow life to unfold naturally, knowing that every challenge, every obstacle, and every emotional surge is temporary. You can follow this path as well. Observe life without clinging, respond without stress, and cultivate inner peace through understanding impermanence. Daily practice of mindfulness and reflection reinforces this awareness. Pause throughout your day to observe your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings. Notice that challenges come and go, that emotions rise and fall, that circumstances change. Each observation reminds you of the impermanent nature of life. Through consistent practice, stress gradually loses its power, replaced by a calm, grounded awareness that enables you to navigate life's fluctuations with grace. Gratitude is a powerful ally. When you recognize the temporary nature of every moment, every experience, and every emotion, you begin to appreciate life more deeply. Joy is sweeter, beauty more vivid, and love more precious when you understand that all things are fleeting. Stress diminishes when your mind focuses on the present, on what is real and alive, rather than on what might happen or what has passed. Even in moments of great uncertainty, remember your inner strength. You have survived challenges before, and you will endure future hardships. Stress is temporary because it exists only in the mind's resistance to impermanence. By acknowledging this, you reclaim your power. Life's storms may be fierce, yet they cannot touch the calm awareness that resides within you. Like a mountain standing firm while the winds blow, your inner presence remains unshaken by the impermanent nature of the external world. Let go of expectations and the illusion of control. Life is unpredictable, and stress arises when we demand certainty. When you release attachment to outcomes and accept the flow of life, you cultivate resilience, flexibility, and inner freedom. Every difficulty is temporary, every fear is temporary, and your capacity to endure and grow is greater than any challenge you face. Each moment of stress offers an opportunity to practice surrender, to practice awareness, and to strengthen your spirit. My dear friends, remember that everything you encounter is temporary. Pain will fade, joy will pass, success will change, and challenges will evolve. Stress arises when we forget this truth and cling to the impermanent. By embracing impermanence, by practicing presence, and by letting go of attachment, we free ourselves from suffering. Peace is available in every moment, if only we choose to see it, choose to feel it, and choose to rest in the understanding that everything is temporary. Finally, carry this truth in your heart always. Do not stress. Everything is temporary. Life moves in cycles, in waves, in seasons. Challenges rise and fall. Emotions surge and dissipate, and circumstances shift endlessly. Stress only exists when we resist, when we cling, and when we forget the impermanent nature of all things. Embrace life as it is, move with the flow, and discover the freedom, peace, and strength that lie beyond worry and fear. Your spirit is eternal. Your awareness is unshakable. And your capacity to face life without stress is limitless. My dear friends, hear me carefully, for the wisdom I share with you today is a guiding light for your life. Life is an ever-flowing river, constantly changing, shifting, and evolving. Every experience, every emotion, every circumstance that you encounter is temporary. And yet, how often do we forget this truth? We allow ourselves to become consumed by worry, anxiety, and stress. We cling to joy as if it will never fade, and resist pain as if it will never end. But I tell you now from the depths of my heart, do not stress. Everything is temporary. Let this truth permeate your being, and you will discover a freedom and peace that transcends circumstance. Understand this. Stress is born of attachment. We attach ourselves to outcomes, possessions, relationships, and even our own thoughts. We expect permanence in a world that is impermanent. And in that expectation, we suffer. Life is a dynamic process. It does not bend to our desires. The moment we resist this natural flow, stress arises. But when we recognize impermanence, when we understand that every moment, every emotion, and every challenge is temporary, we begin to live in harmony with life rather than in conflict with it. Consider your emotions, my friends. Fear, sadness, anger, and frustration may seem overwhelming, yet they are only temporary. They are like clouds passing through the sky of your consciousness. They rise, they linger, and they eventually dissolve. Stress exists only when we identify with these passing clouds, when we forget that our true essence is beyond them. Observe your emotions with detachment and awareness, and you will see that they have no permanent hold over you. The peace within you is eternal. The stress is transient. Presence is the key to liberation from stress. When the mind dwells on the past or worries about the future, it loses touch with the present, the only reality that truly exists. Stress thrives in this disconnection, feeding on imagined scenarios and memories. But when you bring your awareness to this very moment, to your breath, to your body, to the life that is unfolding now, stress diminishes. You understand that every difficulty, every challenge, every sensation is temporary. The present moment becomes your sanctuary, a place where clarity, peace, and resilience arise naturally. Reflect on the lessons of nature. The river does not cling to the water that flows through it. The tree does not resist the shedding of its leaves in autumn. The flower blooms and fades without struggle. Life itself is a constant dance of impermanence, and yet nature moves without stress or resistance. We too can learn to flow in this way. Stress only emerges when we fight against life, when we resist change, when we fail to see the temporary nature of all things. Do not let external circumstances dictate your inner peace. Relationships change, wealth fluctuates, health varies, and opportunities appear and disappear. If your peace depends on these impermanent things, it will also be impermanent. True freedom comes from a mind rooted in awareness, a heart grounded in understanding, and a spirit that recognizes the impermanence of all things. In such a state, stress cannot take hold. Your inner calm becomes unshakable, your resilience becomes unbreakable, and your wisdom guides you through every challenge. Even the greatest masters have faced immense hardships, yet they remain unshaken. Their power does not come from avoiding difficulties, but from understanding impermanence. They meet life as it comes, Without clinging, without resistance, without stress, they embrace challenges as lessons, obstacles as opportunities, and pain as a teacher. You can walk this path as well. Observe life without attachment, respond with awareness, and cultivate inner peace through the understanding that everything is temporary. Let go of the illusion of control. Life is unpredictable, and stress arises when we demand certainty. Surrender to the flow of life. Release attachment to outcomes, and trust that you have within you the capacity to endure, adapt, and grow. Every hardship, every fear, every moment of tension is temporary. By accepting this, you reclaim your power, and stress loses its grip. Daily mindfulness and reflection are powerful tools. Observe your thoughts, your feelings, and your surroundings. Notice how circumstances shift, how emotions rise and fall, and how every moment is fleeting. Through consistent awareness, stress gradually diminishes. Your mind becomes clear, your heart becomes strong, and your spirit becomes resilient. In this space of presence, life is experienced fully, without fear, without anxiety, without clinging. Gratitude deepens this understanding. When you recognize the fleeting nature of every moment, you begin to appreciate life more fully. Joy is sweeter, beauty more profound, and love more precious. Stress diminishes as gratitude grows, because the mind no longer clings to what is temporary, but instead embraces it with awareness and appreciation. Every experience becomes an opportunity to cultivate mindfulness, wisdom, and inner peace. Even in times of great uncertainty, trust in your inner strength. You have survived challenges before, and you will survive every challenge ahead. Stress is temporary because it exists only in the mind's resistance to impermanence. By acknowledging this, you reclaim your power and your freedom. The storms of life may be intense, yet they cannot touch the calm awareness that resides within you. Like a mountain standing firm amid strong winds, your spirit remains unshaken. Release expectations, release attachment, and release the need for certainty. Life will continue to change, and you cannot control every outcome. Stress arises when we cling to what is fleeting. By embracing impermanence, by living fully in the present, by observing without attachment, you free yourself. Peace, clarity, and strength emerge naturally. Every challenge becomes an opportunity for growth. Every difficulty a teacher, every moment a chance to cultivate awareness and resilience. Remember always, everything you experience is temporary. Pain will pass, joy will fade, success will evolve, and challenges will change. Stress arises when we forget this truth and cling to the impermanent. By embracing impermanence, by practicing mindfulness, and by letting go of attachment, we find freedom. Peace is always available, if only we choose to recognize it and allow it to arise. Carry this wisdom in your heart. Do not stress. Everything is temporary. Life moves in cycles, in waves, in seasons. Challenges rise and fall, emotions surge and dissipate, circumstances shift endlessly. Stress exists only when we resist, when we cling, and when we forget the impermanent nature of life. Embrace the flow of life, move with its rhythm, and discover the freedom, peace, and strength that lie beyond worry and fear. Your awareness is eternal, your spirit is unshakable, and your capacity to meet life without stress is limitless.